Hello, everybody. I am so delighted today to be with you on this video with Aliza Ben Shalom. And Aliza is my teacher and my mentor. I've taken courses from Aliza to help improve my matchmaking skills. And whenever I have a problem with matchmaking or I need someone with coaching, I run to Aliza because she has the best ideas out there. And Aliza also publishes on Aish.com. She has great articles. And lately she's been doing a series on Thursday nights that has just been fascinating. And I've really enjoyed all those videos that you've been making with Sarah. They're just great. Okay, so tonight, Aliza agreed to come on with me to discuss like some of the biggest challenges that singles are facing and why they're not getting to the chuppah. Aliza wrote a book called
Get Real, Get Married.
Exactly. And in that book, the goal is to get married. And that's why she's called the
Marriage-Minded Mentor.
Okay, so Aliza, we're going to jump into what we think are the biggest obstacles. And I have my list, and I can't wait to hear your list. Aliza, I think the biggest problem is looks. I think that people are they see so many beautiful women, and there's this Jewish concept of shomrei einayim, to guard your eyes. And I never really understood what guard your eyes meant until I became a matchmaker. So now I see that men especially see beautiful women all over the place, especially in the media. And they're airbrushed and they look more fabulous in print or in video than they really are. And I just find so many people, especially men, turning down women because of looks. And I'm getting a lot of women who also turn down men because of looks. Can you help me with this?
Well, yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, in that we have to understand that we all have a preference. Like what we are looking for is what's appealing to us. So I describe it a little bit like food. When you look at food, right? Some things look appetizing, some things don't look appetizing. We use our eyes to assess something, but we also use our nose to assess it, right? Like if you open up a container and you're like, oh, that looks wonderful. And you're like, oh, that's a little rotten, right? What does your nose do? Your nose informs you that even if your eyes think they like it, you're not going to touch that because it's not for you. It's not safe. It's not going to be healthy to eat. So in a similar way, our eyes are there to help identify what's appealing, what's good for us, what we like, what we're drawn to. But then the question is, like, what's the nose in that example? And the nose is really our brain. And we have to take people in. We have to see who they really are and identify like, ooh, do I like who they are as a person? And okay, let me see what their looks are. If their looks are totally repulsive, you can't do anything about that. You are not going to convince somebody to go out with somebody that's totally repulsive to their eyes. If the looks are what I call neutral or parv, like middle of the road, like, okay, not my look, but I mean, not repulsive, then I have the rule of when in doubt, go out, or date them till you hate them, which just means like, give it a shot. And obviously you have to like the inside. And if you like the inside, then my question is, do you start to buy into the outside and see the radiance and the beauty that really exists, or do you not? Some people are great at working through that process and actually seeing the inside, the outside, and it coming together. And for other people, they're like, I do like the inside. I still don't like the outside. This is never going to work for me. So
Do you find that more with what I found is with men, it generally they have to like the girl's looks on the first or second date. Otherwise, it generally doesn't happen. But women, if they go out long enough and the guy is confident enough and appealing enough, what do you find?
As a gross generalization, you could say that. I have also found that men and women, like everybody has their own picky preferences. I call picky being like having preferences. Okay. And I don't think picky is a bad thing. Singles, you'll love this. being picky is not a bad thing. It just means you have preferences. And if you're a human being and you live on this earth, then you should have preferences. Because if you don't have a preference, when you look at somebody and they're just neutral to you and you're like, oh, I could marry them, or oh, I could marry them. And then there becomes nothing special about anybody. You could just marry anybody.
Right.
Then nobody feels beloved or endearing to you, and you don't feel connected, and they don't feel important to you. So we do need to be picky. We do need to have our preferences for what we want, but we have to not let it trip us up, and to know that the outside, this beauty and whatever you see that you fall in love with, like, it's gonna get all wrinkly and pruny. As long as I'm alive, it's gonna age, and it's not gonna age so gracefully, but the inside that's so wonderful is also gonna age, and it's just gonna be like a fine wine. It just gets better and better and better with time. So we do have to balance out our eyes. And I usually ask people to please give your eyes a little bit longer to catch up to your brain. Like, your brain might be processing some feelings and thinking that you like, and you're seeing things, but then you've got to give your eyes time to just become accustomed to what they're seeing, because the vision in your head that you've seen all these years is not what's in front of you. It's different. And that makes your brain a little bit crazy. So you have to give your brain time to calm down.
So it's like that look. I have a look. What if you
Mhm.
meet someone who's not your look?
Right. So for some people it can work, and I can coach if they want to be coached through the process, I can. And for other people, they're like, don't bother, Aliza. I'm a lost cause. It's either that look or nothing. And
Okay.
I tell the people that they work with, either find that look or don't set them up. Just say, I don't have anybody for you, because they're not interested in anything else. And a person changed against their will is of the same opinion still.
Aliza, let's take one thing away from this with looks. If a single could take away one idea from you on the looks thing, what would you say?
Um, what's not repulsive to you may grow on you, and don't be afraid of that. I've heard some people say to me, Aliza, they're not appealing to me in the way that I want them to be today. And I know they could grow on me, but I don't want them to, because if they're not an instant match and instantly appealing, then I don't want to become accustomed to that. And I don't like that logic. That logic and that thinking is not good. Yes, if you become accustomed to that, yes, if your eyes and your heart and your mind get comfortable with that and you enjoy them, good for you. You know, good for you that your brain and your eyes had time to process what you're seeing and to really make a good decision. Don't be afraid to become accustomed to somebody that may really warm your heart and may really be the right person for you.
Good. Okay. So we'll call that give somebody a chance, which is going to be our theme for tonight. Okay. The second thing I wanted to talk to you was about age. And I'm dealing with a lot of men, let's say in their 40s, who want to get married and have children. And then I'm dealing with a lot of women who are in their 30s. So let's say I've got a lady who's 36, 38, and they don't want to go out with anybody more than 4 years older than them or 5 years older than them. And I don't know how to say to them that I can't even say it on the video. I can't even say it because I can't, they have what they have in their mind.
Right.
And I once talked to you about age, and you told me a fascinating story about you. So I'm just going to let you tell your story and tell me what you've learned in all your years of coaching about the age thing.
Okay. So when I met my husband, I was 25 and he was 35. And when we got married, we're 10 and a half years. So he had turned 36. So there are 10 and a half years between us. Mm-hmm. And something that I really valued about him was his maturity. It just, he was more developed, and he, was somebody that I could relate to. And it was something that was comfortable for me. I have heard from some singles that they don't like older people in general, not just an older person that they might date, but they're just not interested in anybody older. It's not appealing to them. They're not drawn to them. So just for example, I have friends that are 20 years older than I am, and we're like tight. We're so close. It's like, soul sisters and such a match. And we're not the same age. It's not, but it's never been my thing. I've always been drawn to people that were older than me, and the maturity and the wisdom and all of that that's there. For somebody who's very, very uncomfortable and they're like, Lisa, like, I don't know, 5 years, like that's my max. Okay. It's going to limit your options. Are you okay with that? Yes. Like, let's just talk about the reality. The reality is if we go up to, you know, from 35 to 40, we've got X number of people. And then from 40 to 45, we've got a whole bunch more people in a category that we can expand it. And if you're not finding success, then we do have to do something different. So if you're, you know, like inch it up 1 year, inch it up 2 years. In general, I found for sure 10 years works for many couples. I've seen up to 12 years. I've also seen when the woman is older and the man is younger. I have at least a half a dozen couples like that, anywhere from 2 to I think 7 or even 9 years younger, which has worked out very, very well. It's not the norm because it's not a societal norm, but there's nothing wrong with it. Basically, it goes like this. It is so hard to find your person. So ridiculously hard. Hashem makes it as hard as splitting the sea. It is the most difficult thing in the world to find that person that matches you. If you haven't found them yet, let's do it a little bit different. Give me a few years up. Let's expand the category in some way, because it could be that they're a little bit outside the box that you're looking for. It's similar, by the way, to real estate. You know, like when you're looking for a house and you're like, oh, I only want to go up to $499, right? You might miss the house that's $525. It's not so much. I mean, it's like really within your range, but you don't search for that. You're never going to see it. And so the realtors are always saying, bring the price down, bring the price down, bring the age down, bring the age down, right? Like, so work with it, expand it. If you could do it, expand it a little bit, just slightly outside of your comfort zone, not something that makes you roll your eyes and you're like, oh, just like inch out of your comfort zone and see if it opens up new possibilities.
It's interesting because I have a few girls like age 26. They're willing to go out with a guy 35, but my 36-year-old women aren't willing to go out with a guy.
Okay. So here's the issue. If a guy has been single or a woman has been single and they're mid 40s, then they are really a very whole formed human being. And when you've been single for that long and you're whole and you're formed, it's challenging to come together with somebody else because you're so much you. How do you break the you down and then become the we that you bring together? So for some people, it's difficult to imagine going out with somebody who's in that age bracket. Older singles happen to be a specialty of mine, and like a little beloved. They're kind of my favorite. And I found that so many people work really, really hard to be open to bringing that person into their life. And I make them do all sorts of activities and things to expand their mind, and try to help them.
We're going to talk about that in another video.
Possibilities. Great.
We're going to make a video on that, Lisa. Can't wait.
Fantastic.
Okay. Very good. So takeaway on age. I think what I'm hearing from you is if what you're doing now is not working, maybe you can expand outside of your comfort zone a little bit.
Yeah, baby steps, like take a step up or two, you know, go up.
Okay.
A year is not really much. Go up like 2 years, 3 years, something like that. If you think 5 years is going to make your head explode, try 2 to 3 years. Okay. If you could handle 5 years, go to 5 years. See, there is something nice about dating somebody who has a different level of maturity and has been around on the earth for a little bit longer.
Okay. Last thing for this video, because we tried to keep it short, though it's not too short at this point, is you wrote in your wonderful book, Get Real, Get Married, about momentum dating. And I use that term all the time with my singles, all the time. And it's the idea of having 3 dates within 10 days to decide if you want to go forward or not. And I heard a wonderful story by Lori Palatnik. She's a great educator in the Jewish world. And she said in the dates when she was dating that it was expected that you go out on 3 dates. If you went to the trouble of setting up a shidduch, you didn't say one and done. So she said the first day her husband didn't impress her so much. The second day she was getting a good idea of him, but she still wasn't too impressed. But on the third date, she really started to see the magic of him. But if
Mhm.
she would have just given up on the first date, she never would have married him. So
Yeah.
I love your idea of momentum dating, and I'd like to put it into urging singles to give people 3 dates, to give them a chance before they say yes or no. What do you think of that idea?
So yes and no. So the yes part is I love that 3 dates in 10 days, and it really gives you a sense of who somebody is. But I kind of have a rule about going out. So if it's a no, it's a no. Meaning if I show up and I look at you and I hear you and I connect with you and I am like, there, Lori, it's a no. It's not a maybe. It's not an I don't know. It's not a it could be. It is, there's no chance this is my soulmate. I am not making a mistake. If it's a no, I will not ask somebody to go out
Mhm.
to go out again.
Mhm.
Absolutely not.
Right.
If it's anything other than a no, it's a yes for now. And in that case, I would try to do 3 dates in 10 days. I would say date them till you hate them. When in doubt, go out and just schlep it along a little bit. Like try to get some momentum, try to get something rolling and going and seeing if this could be the person for you, because exactly the story that you told happens to so many singles. It's like, nah, I don't know, I'm not such, no sparks flying here. I'm not too impressed. But it can happen, and a lot of people shift. And it does, if they shift, I mean, people can shift within the first 3 dates. I've seen people shift within the first 6 or even longer dates. Some people, they move very slowly and it takes them a long time to shift. If you have anxiety or depression, or you get easily stressed or frustrated, or you're not good and you're indecisive and you can't make decisions, then I would tell you it's going to take you twice or 3 times as long as the average person to go through that process.
Okay, Aliza, I remember something you said on one of your Thursday night calls, and I loved it. But you said relationships go like this, up and down.
Up and down.
I think people have to be aware of that, that not every date's going to be a winner.
Right. So the challenge is, if you start here on your first date and you're down, you're like, I'm uninspired to go out again. But you could go out on the second date and be like, oh, this guy's great, or this girl's awesome. And then you can go out on the third date and be like, what happened? And then you're like, well, 2 bad dates, equals no go, and only one good. And then I'm like, no, but you might just have like we don't want to just go like this up and down. We kind of want to go like this, like a ladder or like stairs, and kind of go up and up and up and up and down a little as we're going up. It's
Kind of like we want the
but
stock market to look like.
it's hard though, because people really want that spark. They want that
Thank
passion. They
you.
want that yumminess that you see and hear about. And not everybody gets that in a relationship. Not everybody feels that. Not everybody has that personality type to experience that. And it's not what makes a relationship, even though we think it is.
Okay.
So it's just hard to buy in sometimes. But
Thank
give
you,
people a
Lisa.
shot.
I'm just
Thank
so
you.
happy that you agreed to come on and do this video with me. And I hope that we have helped people out there open up their minds and expand their choice boxes to maybe just make it a little bigger. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.